democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. The federal government's preparing to begin automatically registering eligible U.S. men ages 18 to 26 for the military draft pool. The U.S. hasn't had a draft since 1973, but it still maintains a registry of eligible men in case the draft is restored. The new rules around automatic military draft registration were tucked into the 2026 National Defense Authorization Act. In early March, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt did not rule out President Trump reinstating the draft itself. She was questioned by Fox News host Maria Bartiromo.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be. And President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table.
We're joined now by Edward Hasbrouck, organizer with the Anti-Draft Coalition, which opposes the plan for automatic registrations, calling for repeal of the Military Selective Service Act. Editor and publisher of Resistors.info. He is a member of the War Resisters League and the Military Law Task Force of the National Lawyers Guild. His recent piece for Responsible Statecraft is headlined, "Even if Team Trump wanted a military draft would be a fiasco," unquote. In the 1980s, Hasbrouck publicly refused to register for the draft and spent 6 months in prison. Can you talk, Edward, about what has changed? What is this draft registry that the Trump administration is bringing back?
Well, since 1980, men have been supposed to register with the Selective Service System within 30 days of their 18th birthday and tell Selective Service within 10 days every time they move until they reach age 26. Very few people do. The efforts to enforce that against a handful of public non-registrants whose public statements could be used to convict us collapsed in the early 1980s. Nobody has been prosecuted in decades. But in the face of growing pressure to recognize the failure of Selective Service and the unavailability of a draft, instead, to save their jobs, the Selective Service System came up with a plan which they managed to sneak through Congress last year to give Selective Service a second chance to try to register potential draftees automatically. Now, that won't work because the federal government doesn't have the data they need. But it will produce a database that's highly vulnerable to misuse and weaponization. And even more importantly, it will continue to prop up the myth that the draft is available as a fallback, which in turn enables continued planning for larger, longer wars without war planners having to think about whether enough people would be willing to fight them.
Why do you write that to activate the draft would be a fiasco?
Well, in order to figure out who's supposed to register, the government would need to know current addresses, which they don't have. You don't have to report to the government when you move. They would have to figure out sex as assigned at birth, which is the criteria for eligibility for the draft, which isn't reflected in current records in many cases that show current gender. They'd need to know the names and mailing addresses of every immigrant, including undocumented immigrants who clearly aren't included in current federal databases. So they wouldn't have a database that's either accurate or complete. And in addition, they would have the same problems enforcing an actual draft that they had when they tried to enforce registration back in the 1980s, which are that they could only prosecute people if they could prove that their refusal was knowing and willful, which meant they first had to track them down and provably notify them, which they could do in a handful of cases for show trials, but it didn't really scale. And the reason they abandoned the enforcement of draft registration back in the 1980s was that the prosecutions backfired, and young people got the message that there was safety in silence and safety in numbers. And it's that continued quiet but persistent, nonviolent, non-cooperation by young people that has been one of the most greatest successes of the peace movement and of nonviolent direct action in past decades that has prevented a draft. We should thank young people for their service in reining in military expansionism.
Shortly after Trump's inauguration, DOGE was sent in and given access to the current Selective Service Registration database. What's the relationship between the Selective Service system and immigration enforcement?
Well, even before putting in place this plan for automatic draft registration, which will take effect in December, unless in the meantime, in this crucial
Call Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rekahakudash and Shalom Labakarim Sho Yasharala. I want to give double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone who are well. Shalom to the whole select out there in the elect lady and your children. So as I'm watching, I'm watching this on Democracy Now! This was maybe a week ago. And as you can see, U.S. to begin automatic draft registration in December, right before the year's over, right before the New Year's come in. We got the summer, then the fall, and then boom, it's a few months ahead. All right, 6 months from now, 5, something like that. So this thing is rapidly moving. All right, and this is all prophetic. It's gonna cost some hell. But this automatic registration is going to, it's going to start. To me, it's going to have, people flip out because you're going to have people like parents. They may not want their children registered. There's going to be protests like, oh, we ain't serving your war. And why should we serve a bloody war for Israel? And I can see it already. It's going to be protesting, people walking. So, these are just the calamities that are beginning to unfold as we get closer, to this man's kingdom falling. So we know this is all part of the fall. All right. And we are at World War III. They're going to need staff. They have low staff in the military. All right, and I want to do something real quick. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT. So I can bear with me. I want to ask ChatGPT. All right, let's ask Chat. All right. Do the U.S. military have enough soldiers? All right. Sure answer yes, but it depends on what you mean by enough. The current side of U.S. military has about 1.3 million active duty troops, plus roughly 750 national blah blah. So raw numbers is that where it gets more complicated. Why is it? Why it is another? It's considered one of the most powerful globally, not just because troop numbers. All right. Let me see. All right. Recruit has been a challenge. Oh, here we go. Why some say it's not enough. Here we go. Recruiting, see, has been a challenge in recent years with some branches missing targets. The military is trying to increase troop numbers slightly in 2026 to address gaps. See that? In a large-scale war against a major power like China or Russia, manpower could be more of a limitation. Yeah, man. All right, there you go. So, yeah, they got troops, but not enough. I know there was a comparison between the 1950s and you look at now. That they don't have like the manpower they used to have. So there you go. Let me see something. Military Times. Let's go to here. All right, Military Times. All right, what's this? What's going on here? All right, let's get out of here. What's going on? All right, Military Times. What are you doing here? Anyway, all right, I'm not going to go bust my head. But yeah, this thing's going down, and this is all prophetic. All right, 2nd Ezra 16, verse 33. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars, all right, shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. All right, and this is... You're going to have a lot of people get drafted, man. They're going to be taken out there into this war. And they're going to be destroyed. Judgment. The Lord got a lot of Israelites too that are preserved for judgment. So many judgments are coming to this place, man. And the Lord got it. Let's get the let me see something. Let's go to the scripture, one of my favorites. 4 times. I think Jeremiah. We'll get right to the point. So you see it, man. Military draft. All right. It's here. Jeremiah 15:3. Let me highlight this, and we're going to read the NLT. I will send 4 kinds of destroyers against them, said the Lord Yahweh. I will send the sword to kill, the dogs to drag away, the vultures to devour, the wild animals to finish up what is left. Because of the wicked things Manasseh, son of Hezekiah, king of Judah, which we know back in ancient Babylon did in Jerusalem, right? I will make my people an object of horror to all the kingdoms of the earth. And this is the kingdom of the earth. Babylon, the great America. All right? And we're here. Twofold scripture. All right? This is it. The Lord's bringing those 4 kinds, man. And that will send the sword to kill. That's the one right here, the sword to kill. All right, and the Lord bringing that draft, man. A lot of you little wicked ass demonic YNs, they're gonna just, man, it's gonna be crazy out here. Now I believe that. That's going to start some sedition. People going to, come against this man's government. And, but eventually it will happen. So as you can see, the U.S. to begin automatic draft registration in December. And I think this was just 7 days ago. Yeah, April 13th. So this is democracy now. Let's listen to the end of it. We
can get the Selective Service Repeal Act, which will be reintroduced probably quite shortly,
Let's go back
which will take effect in December, unless in the meantime, in this crucial year, we can get the Selective Service Repeal Act, which will be reintroduced probably quite shortly in Congress. If we can't get that enacted, the change will take effect in December. But what that will do is it will...
See, it's going to take effect in December. So we got what? May, April's almost out of here. We're going to go to May. Then we got June, July. We're going to go through the summer, August. Then we're going to come back to school in September. That's 4 months. October, November, December. That's 7 months from now. And trust me, the way time is going, we go Matthew 24. Let's go here. I want to go right to the scripture. I don't know if I had. I forgot. I know it's in Matthew 24, 22. There we go. Matthew 22. And except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. In fact, unless that time of calamity is shortened, not a single person will survive. But it will be shortened for the sake of God's chosen one. There we go. And the Lord is shortening the days, man. Days. Hey, look, we already on April 20th. You know? That's it. We got 10 days left, and we're in May. That quick. We're gonna be in the summer. Summer gonna be here, and it's gonna come. It's gonna be a quick breeze, man. You're gonna see. The summer gonna come. You're gonna probably enjoy a couple of barbecue hot dogs, some swimming pool people, whatever. Go to the park, ice cream, and that's gonna be gone. You're like, goddamn, we're gonna be wearing a hoodie again. Like, what is going on? That's the Lord speeding up the time, man. All right? And people are speaking about it. People know something strange is going on. Matter of fact, let me see something. I think I asked for this at camp. The brothers forgot about it. Atomic time speeding. Atomic clock. Salakia. Let me see if that comes up. Speeding. All right, let's go here real quick. All right, Earth's rotation has been speeding up. Wow, look at that. Since 2020, brothers. You see? And that's when the C-19 was in effect, man. So the Lord is bringing these calamities. You see? Resulting in shorter days and prompting scientists to consider the first ever negative leap second around 2029. While atomic clocks remain precise, they are ticking faster than the planet's rotation, causing astronomical time and atomic time to fall out of sync, man. Come on. Man, the Lord ain't playing, man. Hey, I'm going to have to read some of this. But I know some of this information. But there you go, brothers. Hey, this is all prophetic. You telling me this Bible, man, ain't... Hey, this is the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. This is the Lord's... Oh, man. Let's go to this word shortened. All right, let's look this up in the Greek.
Strong's G 2856, kalabao, kalabao.
To mutilate. In the New Testament, to shorten, abridge. Yeah, abridge. Curtail. All right, abridge, shorten. All right, to dock. Yeah, to shorten, to abridge. You get a bridge dictionary. You have a bridge and a bridge dictionary. A bridge is a shorter form of a dictionary. Sometimes they're like pocket size. You could buy them. Pocket size dictionary. Those are more bridge. Right? You see? To shorten, man. You boy. And that's the point, right? You get it. So it's coming, man.
Will give Selective Service unprecedented power to obtain from any other federal agency any information they think might help them identify or locate potential draftees. Now, even before that took effect, at the end of last year, the Selective Service did give notice that they will be turning over their existing registration list for immigration enforcement and other purposes. And once it goes to DOJ, we don't know what those other purposes are, but given the information in the database, it's particularly likely to be weaponized for other purposes against vulnerable trans and immigrant youth.
And finally, if you don't have a draft, how does it end up? It's poor people who go into the military because they need the financial support, and that's who ends up fighting U.S. wars. We have 30 seconds.
I think the important thing is to take the draft off the table remove it from the arsenal of war planning, which, by forcing the government to confront the question before they make wars of
That ain't happening,
whether enough people will fight them,
especially with this madman.
actually constrains wars before they happen, as opposed to fighting an anti-war movement after they're on.
Thanks for watching
There you go, man, brothers. So call all you Habashim Yab, Shalom willing, you will edify Shalom.